The 537-vote heist, Bush v. Gore, how democracy got mugged the night everything went to hell. November 7, 2000, America holds its breath. Picture this, 60 million Americans glued to their TVs, watching the biggest political clusterfuck in modern history unfold in real time. This wasn't just another election night, this was the night American democracy took a beating it's still trying to recover from. George W. Bush versus Al Gore, two guys who couldn't stand each other, fighting for the biggest prize in politics. One was gonna win, one was gonna get his ass kicked. Simple, right, wrong, dead wrong. Florida, that crazy-ass swamp state, was about to turn the whole damn country upside down. 25 electoral votes were gonna decide who got to sit in the big chair. And down there, in the land of hanging chads and butterfly ballots, America was about to get one hell of a civics lesson. Nobody knew it yet, but this election was gonna drag on for 36 days of pure political warfare. Lawyers, judges, protesters, and one iron-willed blonde named Katherine Harris were about to put on the greatest shit show in American political history. The night TV news lost its mind when the networks screwed the pooch in BC studios. 7:52. Policial Militar Florida goes to ... Al Gore. Tom Brokaw dropped that bomb like he was announcing the weather. Over in Nashville, Gore's people went absolutely apeshit. Champagne bottles popping, people crying, hugging, screaming. They thought they'd won the whole damn thing. But back in the network control rooms, producers were sweating bullets. The numbers coming in from Florida weren't matching what they'd just told America. 2:16 a.m., Fox News, hold up, folks. We're calling Florida for George W. Bush, boom. Just like that, the other networks folded like cheap suits. CBS, NBC, CNN, everybody jumped on the Bush bandwagon. Gore was toast, or so they thought. The phone call that changed history. Gore's limo. Somewhere in Nashville, Al Gore's phone rang. His hands were shaking as he picked up. Congratulations, President Bush. Bush sounded relieved. Thanks, Al. A fight? I'll do whatever I can for the country, Gore said, choking on every word. But before Gore's limo even made it back to headquarters, his campaign manager, Bill Daley, was blowing up his phone. Al, don't get out of that car. The numbers just changed. The concession, take it back, Gore called Bush again. This time his voice was ice. George, I'm taking back my concession. Dead silence on the other end. What the hell do you mean you're taking it back? Bush sounded pissed and confused. You heard me. Click. That was it. America just got sucker punched. The election from hell was just getting started. The latest count from Florida, Bush ahead by a measly 1,784 votes. Meet Katherine Harris, the Iron Maiden. Florida's political Barbie. Katherine Harris wasn't your typical government bureaucrat. This lady was Florida's Secretary of State, but she was also co-chair of Bush's Florida campaign. Talk about wearing two hats. Blonde hair, perfect makeup, and eyes colder than a Minnesota winter. Democrats called her a partisan hack. Republicans dubbed her the Iron Maiden. She wore both labels like badges of honor. Tallahassee, Secretary of State's office. There's gonna be an automatic recount, Harris announced, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Her army of lawyers scribbled notes, but if they want a hand recount, they better have a damn good reason. Right then, Gore's lawyers knew they were screwed. This woman wasn't just their opponent, she was their judge, jury, and potential executioner, and she had the power to decide America's future. The machine recount from hell. November 9 to 10, Florida statewide, for 2 days, those ballot counting machines churned away like slot machines in Vegas. Every hour that passed, Bush's lead got smaller. First count, Bush plus 1,784 machine recount. Bush plus 327 votes. Out of 6 million ballots cast, the presidency came down to 327 lousy votes. Gore's team knew what they had to do: demand hand recounts, butterfly ballots, and hanging chads. The butterfly ballot that screwed everything up. Palm Beach County, Ground Zero, Teresa Lepori, Palm Beach's election supervisor, was staring at the ballot design that would haunt her forever. They called it the butterfly ballot. 2 pages, 3 columns, confusing as hell. Why is Pat Buchanan's name right above Gore's? Some young staffer asked. Lepore's face went white. Alphabetical order. She mumbled, but she knew she'd fucked up big time. That ballot design was a disaster. Thousands of Gore voters accidentally punched the hole for Pat Buchanan, the Reform Party candidate, who normally got about 3,000 votes in this conservative area, somehow pulled in 3,407. 2 to 3,000 votes, gone. Poof. Hanging chads, the tiny pieces of cardboard that broke America. Counting tables, magnifying glasses, flashlights. What the hell is this? Asked an elderly counting official, squinting through a magnifying glass. That's a hanging chad, said the young lawyer beside her. A piece of cardboard that didn't fall out. These little scraps of paper were about to decide America's fate. Hanging chad, dangling by one corner like a hanged man. Swinging chad, attached at 2 corners, swaying in the breeze. Pregnant chad, bulging but not broken through. Dimpled chad, pushed but not punched. Every chad represented someone's vote. Every chad was someone's voice trying to be heard. And every chad was a potential weapon in the lawyer's war. The lawyer invasion. The suits hit the ground. Florida, suddenly crawling with expensive legal talent overnight. Florida got invaded by America's most cutthroat lawyers. Democrats and Republicans deployed their legal armies. Team Gore, David Boies, cool, brilliant courtroom killer. Warren Christopher, old school, diplomatic warrior. On Klein, Gore's loyal pitbull. Team Bush, James, Baker III, the ultimate Washington fixer. Ted Olson, Supreme Court whisperer. Ben Ginsburg, election law shark. These weren't just lawyers, they were gladiators. And Florida was their coliseum. Round 1. Leon County Courthouse. Judge Terry Lewis's courtroom. Harris set a November 14th deadline. Boies argued, his voice controlled but angry. This is sabotage, pure and simple. Baker jumped up. Your Honor, the law is crystal clear. The deadline is November 14th. Judge Lewis adjusted his glasses. This old-school Florida judge had seen it all. Hand recounts can continue, he ruled, but Harris's deadline stands. This wasn't just a legal ruling, this was a declaration of war. Harris drops the hammer. November 15th. The ultimatum. Harris's office. Ice cold atmosphere. 2 o'clock this afternoon, Harris declared, her voice like a judge pronouncing a death sentence. I want legal justification. For hand recounts, the Democratic lawyers went ballistic. 2 hours, they needed weeks to prepare legal briefs, not 2 fucking hours. This is bullshit. Ron Klein exploded. Harris smiled like a shark. This is the law. Florida Supreme Court strikes back. November 16th. Tallahassee, Florida's 7 Supreme Court justices huddled around their oak table. The air was electric with tension. 6 of them had been appointed by Democratic governors. The 4-3 decision. Katherine Harris cannot certify results until hand recounts are complete. When that news hit, Bush's campaign went into full panic mode. We're taking this federal, Baker shouted. Got counting wars me. Amid down 19th floor, chaos erupting. Stop the count. Stop the count. Hundreds of Republican operatives stormed the Miami-Dade building. Young guys in expensive suits charging up the stairs, screaming at ballot counters, making threats. The canvassing board members looked scared shitless. "We're stopping the recount," announced Chairman Lawrence King, his voice shaking. "We can't guarantee security." Gore's people lost their minds. This was a goddamn coup. They were shutting down democracy with mob tactics. Broward County's magnifying glass theater live TV coverage. CNN reporter, right now. 73-year-old Ethel Baxter is examining hanging chads with a magnifying glass. America watched this absurd scene unfold on live TV. An elderly woman holding up tiny pieces of cardboard, squinting at them under bright lights. Does this count as a vote? I don't know. Let me see. The Republican Observer went nuts. This is a joke. You're making democracy look like a circus. The Democratic Observer fired back. Every vote needs to count. Thanksgiving Massacre November 26th. Harris's final strike. Katherine Harris on live television. Hair perfect, posture straight, voice cold as ice. I hereby certify the Florida election results. George W. Bush 2.912.790. Gore 2,912,253. Margin 537. Votes 537. That number hit America like a punch to the gut. Out of 6 million votes, the presidency came down to 537. Gore went on TV from Nashville. I do not accept this certification. The contest lawsuit, going for Brocleon County Courthouse. Gore was playing his last card. A contest lawsuit. The nuclear option in Florida election law. Your Honor, Boyes argued, his voice building to a crescendo. Thousands of votes weren't counted in Miami-Dade and Palm Beach. Those votes would have made Al Gore president. Judge Sauls stared down from his bench. This guy was Florida legal bedrock, conservative by the book. No bullshit. December 4th, Sauls drops the hammer. Plaintiff failed to prove substantial legal error. Sauls's voice echoed through the courtroom. For Gore's team, it was like hearing their own death sentence. Boyes packed up his files, face pale. We're going to the Florida Supreme Court. December 8th, the Big Bang. Florida Supreme Court's nuclear option. Tallahassee, 7 justices deciding America's fate while the country held its breath. 7 judges were deciding the future of American democracy. The 4-3 bombshell, 61,000 across Florida, will be counted by hand. When that news broke, Gore's camp, victory screams. Bush's camp, pure terror. The margin suddenly dropped to 154 votes. Baker's war cry. Bush campaign emergency meeting enough. James Baker III slammed his fist on the table. This is insanity. We're going to Washington. Federal court. Everyone in that room knew they were living through one of the most critical moments in American history. Ted Olson spoke quietly. We file an emergency petition with the U.S. Supreme Court. Tonight, Supreme Court, the final battle, December 9th. Stay of execution. Washington, D.C. Supreme Court. Building Chief Justice William Rehnquist's voice delivered the words that would echo through history by a vote of 5-4. Florida hand recounts are stopped. At that moment, Gore's campaign died. Boyes dropped his phone. Klain punched a wall. Justice Scalia's justification was like a slap in the face. Continuing the count would cause irreparable harm to Bush. December 11th, oral arguments, showdown. Supreme Court chamber. Ted Olson was cold as ice. Honorable Justices, Florida is applying different standards in different counties. This violates the Equal Protection Clause. David Boyes shot back, his voice trembling with anger. The real issue is counting every vote. Federal courts cannot trample on state rights. Justice Kennedy's question hung in the air. When would this count end? The Electoral College meets December 18th. December 12th, Judgment Day, 10 p.m., the decision announced America held its breath. The 5-4 death sentence Bush v. Gore, democracy's funeral. 5-4 majority opinion. Florida's counting process violates the Equal Protection Clause. There is insufficient time to remedy this. The count is terminated. Dissenting opinion, Justice Stevens. Today's decision undermines the public's confidence in our justice system. This court has entered the political thicket and made a partisan choice. Gore's campaign headquarters became a morgue. Gore's concession. A political assassination, December 13th, 9 p.m. Gore's speech. Al Gore stood before the TV cameras, looking like a man who'd been shot, face pale, eyes red, voice broken. Tonight, I made a very difficult phone call. I called George Bush and congratulated him. The pain in his voice broke the hearts of millions of Gore supporters. While I disagree with this decision, I respect the Supreme Court's ruling. For the unity of our country, I end my campaign. And just like that, Al Gore was politically executed. 537 votes. A nation's scream. The final numbers, democracy's math. Florida, Bush, plus 537 votes, 0.009% margin. National, Gore, plus 543,895 votes, 271. Gore, 266,537 votes. That number got burned into America's DNA. That number became the symbol of a nation's trauma. That number proved how fragile democracy really is. History's verdict, January 20, 2001. When George W. Bush took the oath, half the country believed he wasn't legitimate. Selected, not elected, chants echoed in the streets. Bush's presidency began. Under that 537-vote shadow, 9/11's Horrocks disaster, the economy's collapse. Gore became an environmental warrior, but he never got to wear that presidential crown. Final word, the broken mirror. America changed during those 36 days. Trust in elections was shattered. The Supreme Court's sanctity was questioned. Partisanship trumped justice. 537 votes. Just 537 goddamn votes. That number screams one brutal truth. Democracy is a fragile vase that needs constant protection, and that vase cracked in 2000. Katherine Harris became Florida's Iron Queen of Infamy. Hanging chads ended up in America's Hall of Shame. Bush v. Gore became required reading in law schools. But the real lesson is this: 537 votes is all it takes to break a civilization. Al Gore's last words. I accept defeat, but I don't give up the fight. George W. Bush's first words. I'll do everything I can to unite America. Both men kept their promises, but the wounds from those 537 votes never healed, and America has been living like a broken mirror ever since. This isn't just an election story. This is the record of democracy's death throes. 537 votes, that's the bitter proof.